Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and honor and celebrate the journeys of those who are making significant contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and thank you for being with us today. And I want to thank Wilkes Communications, River Street Networks, and WIFM for this opportunity, and thank you again for being with us. Our featured guest this morning is Ms. Heather Freeman. She's the principal at North Wilkes Middle School. She's a graduate of Wilkes Central High School, Meredith College, and advanced degrees from ASU. She's a North Carolina Teaching Fellow, which is a very prestigious honor for Ms. Freeman. And we're going to talk about the Stephen Covey Initiative, The Leader in Me, or the LEAD program. And North Wilkes Middle School is a lighthouse designated operation, if you will, or initiative, and where they are a really outstanding program with the Stephen Covey group. So good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary. Good to be here.
Heather Freeman, tell us a little bit about your family, and we'll go from there, if you will.
Okay. Well, I'm from Wilkes County, like you said. I'm born and raised here. My family, both on my mom's side and my dad's side, have strong roots here in our county. And I went to Meredith College, and while there, I met my husband, Joel, who works for Lowe's. He's a director in IT. And we have two daughters, McKenna, who is a rising sophomore at Wilkes Central, and Addison, who is a rising 8th grader at Central Wilkes Middle School.
Thank you. Your mom and dad?
Larry and Kathy Milton. So
Okay.
They both also raised here in Wilkes County, and they both retired from Lowe's after working there for many, many years, and now are helping us out with the kids and enjoying their retirement.
Tell us about coming to North Wilkes Middle School.
Well, I taught for 14 years in the classroom, and I had started my doctoral program at ASU when I started to feel the pull towards administration. And so was just very, very blessed that God opened up some doors for me, and I was able to go to Watauga High School and be the assistant principal there for a year, and then was able to come back and be the principal at North Wilkes Middle School at the beginning of the 2015-16 school year.
So you moved to North Wilkes Middle in 16?
In 2015, 2015.
All right. And a wonderful life-changing experience, and Ms. Langford, Anna Langford, was involved in it. Just it'd be a good way for us to open this great initiative that we're going to honor today.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, being a new principal, obviously I was looking for ideas and things that I could use to cater to the needs of my staff, and what I saw were needs in our school. And Mrs. Langford gave us the opportunity, and us being all four of the middle school principals, the opportunity to explore going to the Leader in Me Symposium in Owensboro, Kentucky, and in November of 2015. And so we started brainstorming and figuring out ways that we could all do that, because we knew that a little bit about the program. There were some, like Mrs. Huffman, who is the principal at West Wilkes Middle School, who had been to a prior symposium a couple of years before. So some of them had had some exposure to the program. And we all decided that we thought it would be a great thing for us to go and explore that together. And it was just an amazing experience. And once we got there, realized that this is something that we need to take back to Wilkes County schools.
What are we doing? What is the objective? Just kind of wrap it up for us, and so we'll all of us understand, if you will.
Sure. So Stephen Covey originally wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And many are probably familiar with that book because a lot of businesses use that to kind of create the high expectations that they want within their organizations. But then his son, Sean, wrote a follow-up book called The Leader in Me, which basically summarized the way that Muriel Summers, who is the principal at A.B. Combs Elementary School in Raleigh, North Carolina, had implemented those same tenets of the 7 habits for highly effective people in her elementary school, and how she had built a bridge between modeling those as adults and implementing those at the school level to benefit students and families.
So it started in Raleigh?
With the first school implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was interesting because when we came back from the symposium, I decided immediately that our staff had to read The Leader in Me. We had to all kind of see how that would be implemented at the school level. And so immediately we I think collectively realized this is something that we can do, and felt empowered. But The Leader in Me at the school level, it implements in 3 phases. There's a leadership component, a culture component, and an academics component. But before you even begin to implement those things, Franklin Covey comes in and they provide training for your staff just about the 7 habits of highly effective people.
So we're talking about behavior change. We're talking about children being having this wonderful program, and they become better people as they develop the 7 habits. Is that
Absolutely.
the way it works?
Absolutely. And we believe that they all have greatness within each one of them. It's just that these provide them the foundation and the courage to take on the challenges that they're going to have in life, no matter what their background is, and just a different way to approach those challenges.
Okay, so did you share with us the first start of it? So they started on your campus with Covey people coming there?
Yes. So in August of 2016, when we came back from the symposium, the 4 principals in 2015, at the end of 2015, we shared with Ms. Lankford and Mr. Bird and Dr. Bullis and all of our district leadership that we were really committed to this, that we felt like this was something that our students and families would benefit from. And so our district leadership was very supportive and immediately tried to begin helping us find the funding that it would take to implement in all 4 middle schools. We went out and reached out to different people, just like I've reached out to you, to build a community partner base and figure out ways that we could implement the program. And then once we were able to commit to that and were able to work with Franklin Covey to come up with an implementation plan, in August of 2016, which was the beginning of the 16-17 school year, was when we first had our initial training, which is your 7 habits training for your staff. And that's for all staff, cafeteria workers, custodians, everybody that's involved in your school, because it's all about figuring out how the 7 habits can apply in your own life, how you can begin to model those, because you can't very well teach that to young people if you can't try to apply it in your own life.
You want to go through those habits?
Sure. So habit number 1 is be proactive. And basically that means, take things on and don't wait for things to happen to you. Take charge, be in charge of your own weather. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. So have goals, understand what it is that you want to achieve, and then set up some lead measures to try to get to those goals. Habit number 3 is put first things first. So that's an easy one, just prioritize, which we all have problems with sometimes. So those first 3 habits, those encompass the private victory. Because if you can embody those 3 habits, then you're going to attain some private victories for yourself. The next 3 habits, habit number 4 is think win-win. So that is all about cooperating and collaborating, thinking about solutions that will benefit all parties, not necessarily a win-lose scenario, which is what we see so much in modern society. Habit number 5 is my favorite habit. That is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And we live in a society right now where everyone wants to be heard. It's important to speak, and sometimes if we speak louder, then that means we're more powerful or that our words are more meaningful. But habit number 5 really teaches students to try to consider the perspective of others when you're forming opinions or if you're involved in some sort of conflict with someone else.
Listen,
yes. And that's an important skill. That's a 21st century skill to be able to actively listen to someone. And then habit number 6 is to synergize. So that is to work with others and be able to work in a group setting, which again is a 21st century skill. We have to be preparing our young people and ourselves to go out and cooperate with others and be able to work in a team scenario to get things accomplished. So those second 3 habits are considered the public victory. So those are the ones where you're interacting more with others. So you have your private victory, and then if you can practice habits 4 through 6, you have your public victory. And then habit number 7 is sharpen the saw, which is, to reward yourself. If you're working hard to practice all of those first 6 habits, then reward yourself by doing something that you love. And I'll share with you, I had to email one of our supporters at Franklin Covey yesterday, and she happens to be on vacation, but I loved her automatic reply, and her email said, not "I'm out of the office because I'm on vacation." It said, "I'm out of the office this week because I'm sharpening my saw." And I thought, wow, that's great. I'll have to start using that. What we now know, and what Franklin Covey is furthering the idea of, and what we're excited to begin doing this year in our school, is once you've implemented those first 7 habits and you're living those and modeling those, there's now an 8th habit. And there has actually been a book written, and the 8th habit is to find your voice. So how do you find your voice to do good for others, and then how do you empower other people to find their voice? So we're excited because now, being a lighthouse school and having implemented this for 3 years, we are beginning to see our students, without prodding, to find their own voice. And that's an amazing and rewarding thing to see.
Wow. So we're in our 4th year?
Yes, so we're getting ready to begin our 4th year.
Okay. And so there's an 8th habit that's going to be incorporated in it now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and the other thing we're very excited to work on this year, it's a goal of ours, to begin providing 7 Habits certification for families. And so right now we're working with Franklin Covey to figure out a way that we can begin offering that to our families and allowing them, even though we do things about the 7 habits all throughout the year, and our students even teach their parents different habits on our academic parent-teacher team nights when they come in to do student-led conferences. We really want to dig a little bit deeper, and for families that are interested, we want to give them an opportunity to come in and synergize with other families that are interested and work with our staff who will be trained to learn more about how they can apply those even within their home and their family life.
Heather Freeman is the leader at North Wilkes Middle School, and I was there last week for the Lighthouse celebration.
Yes.
I think it'd be a good time to talk about the achievements that you've been able to bring into your school. Let's just talk about that day at the Stone Center.
Oh, wow. Well, it was such a rewarding day to be able to see my staff recognized for their hard work. And I said that day that we've been on such a journey, and that truly is what we've been on, because I would never point to me and say this happened because of me. It did not. It happened because we are a group of people who saw that we wanted to grow and we wanted to improve the opportunities that our students had each day when they walked in that building. And we also wanted to improve the pride that our community had in our school. And so this was just the conduit to do it. But every single person in that building has had to grow. They've had to fall. They've had to pick themselves back up. They've had to work with new people. We've had to explore new strategies. We've had to go and seek out advice from other schools that were implementing this. Yeah. We've had to grow a whole lot, and it was an amazing time, because I think we got the word that we were a lighthouse school a few weeks before, but I think this was the culminating activity where everybody could take some time and step back and realize how much we've accomplished in 3 years.
There was, and we also had West Middle there.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
There was a culture or just an uplifting feeling that afternoon at 3 o'clock there at the Stone Center. Sense of accomplishment, gratitude. I think having the opportunity, somebody some of you saw a tremendous plus that could come out of hard work,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me, I've had the opportunity to be in your school a couple of afternoons when we were doing the things that come out of these habits.
Yes.
I sensed a tremendous confidence in the people, your folks, your students, courage even. Mm-hmm. Will you talk about that a little bit? I know that's a gift that comes along with the habits, but I was really impressed with the confidence level of was a lady, a young girl that was kind of chaperoning my group, if you will. Let's talk about that.
Well, I can't say enough about how proud we are of our students every time we have visitors come in our building for whatever event that it might be. I've also seen teachers absolutely blossom, because some of the things that teachers everywhere in every school struggle with, whether that's classroom management or whether that's student engagement or whether that's figuring out different resources to use to help
blossom,
different learners.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just this program has allowed them to explore and feel free to try new things, and also to make their classroom fit their personality and the needs of their students. And that has been very enriching for me as a school leader, to be able to see the opportunities that we're providing for teachers, and they're just capitalizing on them. The beautiful thing, and I'm not sure which student it was that led your group that day, but we have different students who have all sorts of jobs. And the beautiful thing about this program is that it does not discriminate about what socioeconomic status you come from, your gender. It doesn't care whether you're the brightest student or whether you have more learning challenges. This program fits everybody. And this school year, we were blessed that Franklin Covey invited or encouraged. We had 9 different schools and districts, including superintendents from different districts around North Carolina, come visit our school on the advice of Franklin Covey, to come and see how this program can be implemented. And our students, they're that bright spot, because, and I always step out when we have visitors. I always step out and give the students an opportunity to present and to have a panel session with them. And I always say to them, now listen, if they can't convince you of why this is important, then you don't need to be doing it. And so I'm glad to hear that you had a good experience.
Oh, boy.
But our kids, they sell it without us ever having to say anything, because
So
they
it's a
feel invested.
mindset, Ms. Freeman, about changing prior thought process, how we associate with people.
Oh, absolutely.
Relationship building.
Absolutely. And I think also the way that we think teens, this teenage years and tween years is what we have at middle school, but also about the way that they want to engage with school. I think sometimes we get this mindset that once they get older, once they leave elementary school, they'll think having a classroom job is hokey, or they'll think that getting on the news program and talking about attendance is not cool. And that's just not the case. And so we have dispelled that, because every week we've had students on WJAG, which is our morning news program, who applied for these jobs on their own to be attendance trackers, who are reporting what our weekly attendance was from the week before, and what our goal is for the next week, and what the reward will be if we meet it. We've had students every Tuesday morning who applied to be Days of Peace ambassadors, who have been reporting the percent of students who made good choices from the week before, and who have been teaching their classmates about different strategies. We call them reset strategies that they can use when they feel like they're out of their resilience zone, which might be, maybe we're upset for one reason or another. And what are some strategies like grounding or focusing on our breathing or pushing against the wall that we can use to reset ourselves? And those are our students doing that. And they come seeking those things out. So I think what we've been able to see too is that if we just provide them with an opportunity to be leaders in their school, beyond what they're doing academically or beyond what they're doing athletically, they want those opportunities. And that's an amazing thing to see.
Let's go back to the symposium in Kentucky. A little bit more about what went on those days, or share that with us, please.
Sure. Well, at those symposiums, of course, you get to go and go to several different seminars. So, of course, we got to go to different seminars and hear other schools presenting about different ways that they had implemented. Probably the most meaningful part of that symposium was the opportunity that we had to go and visit other schools there in Kentucky who were already implementing. So we were able to go to 2 different schools and sort of see what their community lead day would be like. And the minute we walked in those buildings, it felt different from walking in our own. And the reason for that was that the students were at the forefront. It was not about the adults. The adults were facilitating and the students were leading. And just watching those students be empowered, we knew that that was something that we needed in our own schools.
And you've had, because of the success of the program, you've had an opportunity to go present.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So in February of this past year, 2019, I was invited along with Ms. Huffman and Chad Thomas, who is the principal at Bailey Middle School in Cornelius, to go to the symposium that they had in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and to present there about just the ways that our school has figured out to implement different tenets of LEAD. A lot of it is logistics. You've got to figure out ways to implement sharpen the saw time within your daily schedule if you're going to actually say you're giving students an opportunity to sharpen their saw. You've got to figure out ways that you're addressing their social emotional health if you're really going to say that you're helping them model the 7 habits. So I was able to present and share with other schools who are just getting ready to begin implementation or who might already have just started our journey, and then that has then forged lots of different relationships. People have reached out, and I've had different folks that I met there who have come already and visited our school. And so that's been great. I'm glad that we've been able to synergize with them.
Ms. Heather Freeman and the Leader in Me, tell us a little bit about the funding. I want to go back, not so much about who gave the money, but
Sure.
you had, make sure we understand it's private, it's school money, and maybe some others. Can you do that for me?
Sure, yes. So, well, each year is a little bit different, whatever your contract price is per school. I will say that when you pay that price, what you're paying for is the support from Franklin Covey and the training. And so every school that is implementing LEAD is assigned a coach. So we have a Leader in Me coach. Her name is Dr. Leslie Eason, and she is amazing. And so the money that you pay throughout that year is for that coach to have a constant touch on what's happening in your school, to advise and come and meet with your teachers, to visit the classrooms, to advise them, to meet with the students, to give you constant and continual feedback about how to continue to grow in your implementation, which I can say has been different from anything else I've seen in 20 years. This is my 20th year in education.
Really?
I've seen lots of programs come and go, and normally the way that it works is that you implement something, you come and you get that initial training, and then you're kind of left to sail that ship on your own.
It kind of dies.
That's right. Yeah, the momentum kind of dies. And so with Franklin Covey, it has not been that way. So I would say that probably has been the most remarkable difference maker for us, is that the funding that we've been able to put forth towards those contracts, those yearly contracts, have sustained our implementation to fidelity, at least in my school, for sure. So the funding was obtained some by private donors, some from different funding sources that we had within our district with state and federal funding. And then each school has kind of gone out also and built a community partner base. I have different people who every year I've gone to and said, hey, listen, we're implementing this program. I've shared with them about it, and I truly do believe that this, if we can sustain this, is going to be a huge difference maker for our community. I have seen it within our students, I've seen it within our families, I've seen it within our staff, and so I just believe that the potential is so great. And I keep selling it to everyone, and thankfully we have people who each year have donated funds to help us buy things specifically for our school, like the lead journals that our students use.
Lead journals.
So every student has a lead journal that we use to supplement the lessons that they're doing about the 7 habits. So in our school, each Tuesday and Thursday morning during lead up block, which is the first 20 minutes of the school day, our students are teaching each other lessons about the 7 habits, and so we use that journal. Wow. Yeah.
Dennis Huggins.
Yes.
Let's talk about his role.
Well, Dennis from the get-go was on board with Leader in Me, and I think he had even maybe had some previous experience with the 7 habits and the way that it could be used at the corporate level when he worked at Lowe's.
Yeah.
But Dennis was just instrumental in being able to connect us with different folks from within the community who would lend us their ear to listen to what we were trying to do, and then they themselves either could be potential, donor sources, or they hooked us up with other folks. Dennis also helped us get with some civic organizations like the Kiwanis Club and the Ruitans, and so that we could go out and be able to share with them about what we were trying to do in our community.
And they were connected with you and gave you some money?
Yes, I believe so.
Wow.
I believe that,
How
yes,
about
and
that?
especially the Chamber of Commerce as well. So that has been a huge help to be able to, it's difficult sometimes for community members to know about the initiatives that you're doing in your school. And so we were able to go to them, and then also with our community lead days that we host in the spring, we were able to invite them to come to us so that they could see it in action.
Yes. 2 times I've been there.
Yes.
Ms. Freeman, tell us about some just ahas. Do you know a couple? Can you remember a couple, maybe situations that happened that's been worth the experience of just saying, "Wow,"
Yeah, well, definitely. Gosh, there's so many. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think for me as an administrator, one aha has just been, and having been at North Middle for 4 years, we have excellent staff members. Excellent. But I don't care what school you're in and how long you've been teaching, even we adults can grow. And I have seen tremendous growth from our staff in just their pedagogy in the classroom, and then their ability to cooperate and collaborate within data teams, and the planning that is so rich for our students. So that has been an aha for me. Mm-hmm. That's sort of a private aha. I would say probably one of the biggest ahas came this spring at one of our 2 community lead day sessions. We had a student, teacher, parent panel, and in our media center, one of our students, I can't remember what they were asked, but we had several different community members there, families. We had some different schools that were visiting that had asked if they could come to see our community lead day. And one of our 8th grade students who, our 8th graders that just finished have been in middle school with LEAD the entire 3 years.
Right.
So they have seen the program grow, but they also have not known anything else other than LEAD in middle school. And one of our students, I can't remember exactly what he was asked, but he said, "What I like best about this school is that we all know they care more about what's in here, and once they know what's in here, then they care about what's up here." And
oh my goodness.
Right. We know as teachers that they won't care about what we know until they know that we care about them. And so that showed me that it's significant to our students and that they recognize our efforts in trying to build relationships with them.
What a great way for us to get close to the end. Ms. Heather Freeman, thank you for being here today, and I want to thank Wilkes Communications and River Street for their help. And I think it's a good time for you to close possibly with a gratitude statement about this opportunity.
Oh, wow. Well, just the Lord has richly blessed me in my career. This has been an amazing opportunity to get to be a part of Leader in Me
So
implementation.
you grow too.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. It's been amazing to be a part of Wilkes County Schools in implementing this, and now also seeing success with it, and just being able to be a part of the growing pride that is in our community and in Wilkes County
So
Schools.
last week we had that 3 o'clock session at Stone Center. It was just a wow. Well, I was so glad I could be there.
Yes.
Ms. Heather Freeman, the principal at North Wilkes Middle School, she's been talking about the Leader in Me, Stephen Covey program that grows individuals, that the culture change. It's a life-changing experience. I'm glad you've been with us today, and let's make sure you commit to coming next week again. So this is Gary York, People Doing Good for Others, and I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Gary.
We'll come back.
Glad to be here.
Bye-bye.